Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. This video is lesson 8 of my free course, Introduction to IT for Computer Users. And lesson 8 is Troubleshooting Basics for Computer Users. So troubleshooting is the everyday process of checking simple causes first, using the computer's built-in tools and applying logical steps to correct computer problems. An ordinary computer user needs to adopt a few simple troubleshooting techniques which enable him to fix common problems on his own without the need of employing an expensive computer technician. When troubleshooting computer problems, it is important for the user to stay calm, check the basic computer operations first, and use logical thinking to narrow the problem down. And before I go to the next slide, I just want to let you know that I had to do quite a bit of troubleshooting recently, and I've had to do some troubleshooting just to complete this course. And the reason why is I don't tend to turn my computer off, and because I don't tend to turn my computer off, I have to restart it every now and then. The first thing that happened, if you've been watching all my videos, you'll already know, was a few weeks ago, I got a message from Driver Booster telling me that all of my drivers were out of date and I needed to input new drivers. Okay, so I thought that I was doing the right thing by upgrading my drivers. I wasn't doing the right thing because what Driver Booster did was Driver Booster corrupted my sound system, and I had to pay £30 to have my computer repaired. And so basically, whenever I was researching this driver business, this driver problem, it said that you're not supposed to upgrade any drivers on your computer unless you've actually got problems with that driver. And then what you have to do is you have to use the driver from the manufacturer. Okay, so for me, that wasn't going to work. And the reason why is because when I went onto the manufacturer's website and I copied the serial number of my computer onto the website, it didn't come up with anything. So that wasn't any good to me because the Lenovo website wasn't accepting the serial number of my actual computer. And then I saw another website about Driver Booster where people were complaining, and that's a very common complaint with Driver Booster, was that if you update your drivers using Driver Booster, it corrupts the sound system. And so basically, in order for me to correct the problem, I had to pay £30 to correct this problem. So Driver Booster is not a good application to use. It's actually malware, so don't use Driver Booster. Don't upgrade. Don't use any drivers from Driver Booster. You're not supposed to upgrade your drivers unless you actually have problems with the driver, and then you're supposed to use the driver from the manufacturer. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do when that happens for me because my serial number doesn't come up on Lenovo's website because I've got a Lenovo computer. Another thing that happened yesterday, or this morning really, when I was making this video, was that the sound wasn't working. And so the video that I actually made was unusable because the sound wasn't working. And so what I had to do was I had to turn off all of my applications and all of my tabs, and I had to restart the computer. So that's going to be the first thing you do. When you have a problem, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to try to restart the computer, because sometimes restarting the computer is going to fix a temporary glitch. And then whenever I was making my video yesterday, I was giving the user a tour Google Meet. And when I was giving a tour of Google Meet, the camera wasn't working when it was working a short while ago, a couple of weeks ago, but now the camera wasn't working and I didn't know what the problem was. And I think that I actually did try to restart the computer or something, and it still didn't work. And what had happened is on my keyboard, on top of the numbers, above the numbers, you've got a bunch of F buttons. And so button F10 turns off your camera. And so somehow or other, button F10 had been touched. So if you're having problems on your computer, it's best to look at the buttons above the numbers because those are some kind of functions. And another one that one of the F buttons is the touchpad. And then if you set that F button, then the touchpad won't work. So those are just a few of the troubleshooting techniques that I personally have found out in the past, and also making this video and making this course actually. So now what we've got is we've got a beginner's troubleshooting guide, which is easy steps to fix common computer problems. So when you've got a problem with your computer, one of the first things that you want to do is restart your computer, because when you restart the computer, then what will happen is a lot of temporary glitches will be resolved. And then so when you restart your computer, if the computer isn't working, it still isn't working after you've restarted the computer, then what you have to do is you have to check your connections composed of cables, power, and Wi-Fi. You have to look for error messages and search the error messages online. You have to run Troubleshooter, which is in the systems application of the computer, to use built-in tools to troubleshoot your computer. And then you have to update your system and run an antivirus. And if it's still not working, then what you can do is you can restore or reset your computer. But so you can I think when you restore it, then it will correct everything except the system files. But when you reset the computer, I think it resets it to factory settings. And so I've had my computer 6 years now, so I definitely don't want to reset it because I don't want it to go back to factory settings, because I think it even was on Windows 10 when I bought it, and now it's on Windows 11. Another thing that you can do is you can try another device. So let's say, for example, if the printer isn't working, you can attach another printer to it and see if that solves the problem. If the problem still exists when you replace the printer, then you know that the problem isn't the printer, the problem is the software connected to the printer. But I think that most people don't have an extra printer to use, but you can actually try to connect another device to your computer and see if that solves the problem. So that's your beginner's troubleshooting guide. I would also always restart your computer. That'll fix a glitch. And then check the little F buttons. It doesn't say it on that form, but check the buttons above the numbers, their functions, and then you can look at the buttons and then see if pressing the button will correct the problem. But for instance, the problem that I had last night was a camera, and F10 shows you a camera with a line across it. So that means F10 means it's a camera problem. And there's another problem with a stylus, a finger pad. So I think it's F6 maybe is the finger pad. So you can try pressing those F buttons and see if that solves the problem. And so basically we've got one more video to do. This next video that we're going to do is I'm going to give you a tour of the settings menu, and we're going to go over troubleshooting, reset, and restore. But if you have watched all the videos and you've gone through all 8 lessons, then congratulations on completing this course. There's only one more video to watch, and then you will have completed the course. I mean, I thought about what I wanted to do. I thought about whether I would have the tour before the last video, but I thought it's best not to do that. I would just have the lesson, and then we'll have the tour of Restore after that. And then when you've watched the tour of the Troubleshooting, Reset, and Restore, then you will have completed the course. So congratulations on completing all 8 lessons, and I hope to be communicating with you in some other courses that I might decide to make. So thank you so much for taking this course. I hope you're going to watch the very last video, which is going to be a tour of the troubleshooting application in the settings menu. So see you next time.